this instalment of Who's Unsung Heroes takes us right back to 1966, as I'm talking to a gentleman who is a supporting artist across 10 Doctor Who stories, I say starting in 66 and right up to Sylvester McCoy. I'm delighted to introduce David John Waterman.
Yeah, now I know who I am. I've been wondering for so long. That's who I am.
Well, perhaps I should say John Harris or Harrison as well.
Harrison, David Harrison, yeah. Dave Harris, David Harrison, yeah. Multitude of names. It was best to keep ducking and diving, you see. Is that you? No, that wasn't me. I've not worked on this before. This is my new name. Yeah, but you work that way.
How are you in these strange times?
I'm good. I'm very good. Yes, I'm always busy. I'm always very busy because I teach art and I'm an artist and a musician. So I'm up until now anyway, with plenty of work as a musician and plenty of teaching. But now, of course, all that's gone. But I'm teaching online art-wise, so I'm being kept busy and I'm working. I'm doing a lot of artwork here in my workshop. Doing a lot.
It's worth saying to viewers that you've got a Facebook page of your artwork as well if they want to have a look, and it's some beautiful stuff
Facebook,
on there.
Yes. Original artwork for sale, I think, and there's another one, the music and fantasies of David Waterman, I think is something. I can't remember what it's called. I should visit them more often, I think. Might be an idea.
Well, certainly worth visiting if any of you is interested.
Yeah.
But as I say, I wanted to take you back to 1966, which I believe was your first experience with Doctor Who on the War Machines. Now, if I say that, does that bring back masses of memories, or is it a bit of a blank as it was just one day's work?
Well, they're all black and white. My black and white memories fade away in time, I sort of move into colour, then I remember more in colour than I do in black and white. So ask me about the colour ones. I remember them better.
Okay, so I believe your first colour story would have been Frontier in Space, in which you played a Skybase guard with John Pertwee.
Very likely, because they tend to push you into a dressing room and dress you in something, and you never ask questions about what you're being dressed into or the prosthetics you're having put on you. You never ask questions. You just let them do it, and then they say, stand over there for 4 hours. We might bring you a drink occasionally, and then when we shake my hand like this, move like you're being attacked by something. So so you get used to that sort of thing. Yeah. And occasionally fall down when you've been hit by a laser.
So I imagine Doctor Who, more than other shows, had a lot of that falling down with a laser, which should be added later on.
Well, it depends how much wine you had. I mean, I tended to do a lot of falling down in most shows.
That sounds like a good way to be working.
It wasn't scripted. A lot of unscripted falling down. Improvisation, they call it now.
Yeah, you'd be paid extra for that these days.
Yeah, you can get away with anything these days. Yeah, you get lots of sympathy when you fall over, especially when you're my age and you fall over. Yeah, they tend to try and rush you into hospital. I say, no, it's all right. They know me too well there. I don't need to go in. You're all right. Leave me here. Leave me on the floor. Leave the bottle as well.
But that wasn't your only encounter with John Pertwee. You were in what is seen as a real classic, The Green Death, and you're a miner in that story. Would you have been taken to location in Wales for that?
Well, a lot of the locations were just off the A4, just outside London. Harrison Rocks was very popular. Harrison Rocks, and also the Quarry Pit was very, very popular. Everything was. It seemed to be, where should we do it? Yeah, go to the Quarry Pits. It seemed very popular a destination for Doctor Who. The Quarry Pits was very good. Yeah, we went there because we used to leave the television centre and go on a coach. We used to get dressed up, made up, and leave in our costumes and our weird colours. with little things added to us, and we used to go on a coach until one day one of the guys said, "I've got my car in a car park. Look, it will save us time if we go in my car, 4 or 5 of us in his car. We'll go down to the quarry pits. Then we won't have to hang about. We'll come straight back, and we'll be away before anybody else." So we all thought that was a great idea, except he didn't maintain his car very well, and sort of halfway down the A4, we ran out of petrol. So we had to push the car in our costumes and our weird alien outfits down the A4, getting lots of bibs and comments, and then into the petrol station. And of course, then he realised he'd left his wallet in the dressing room at the television centre. So he filled up, couldn't pay for it. So we said, "Look, you have to trust us. We're actors. You can trust us." And he says, "Trust you? I don't even like the look of you, let alone trust you." I said, "Well, we've not been on this planet long. We don't know your ways and customs." And we just bought this car from a very unscrupulous dealer. So please let us leave our addresses, and we'll pay you later, maybe in a million years, when we revisit this planet. But it was very embarrassing. But we got there eventually, a bit late.
But there's, that just, I suppose, wouldn't happen these days. That's part of how television was made then, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it was sort of ad lib and a bit off the cuff, But I think because people, I suppose, like us, were experienced and we'd done plenty of silly things like that before, we could ad lib and we can get through and we can make a little bit of difference to each show that we were on. We were old pros. That's what we were.
Because in terms of Doctor Who, you worked with 6 doctors. Would you have had much contact with them, or was it just you, as you say, you're told to stand in the corner for 4 hours and then go home at the end of it?
We didn't really have that much. It depends how chatty the doctors were. Not all the doctors were that chatty. Colin Baker was chatty. Peter Davison wasn't very chatty. Sylvester McCoy, you couldn't shut him up. So I mean, it was things like that. I mean, on the Castrovalvans, that was in Harrison Rocks. We filmed that in Harrison Rocks, and it was, I think, the very first episode. I think because Peter Davison had only just become the Doctor then, in his nice flashy outfit, and it was very hot. It was like today. It was very, very hot, and we were wrapped in sheepskins all over our legs and our arms and our bodies, and we had these pumpkin things on our heads, and it was incredibly hot. And if you wanted to go to the toilet, then you'd had it really, because it just took too long to take all this stuff off. But then the director or the assistant director said, "We need someone to do some stunt work." And I thought, "Oh, I'm not doing stunt work in this costume. It's just too..." Not the stunt work was very much anyway. It was never much. But I thought, "Oh, I can't do it in this costume. It's too hot." And so one of the lads said, "Yeah, I'll do it. What have I got to do?" He said, "Well, there's step ladders here in the woods. This little lane through the woods. We've got a pair of step ladders. We just want you to go on the second run and jump off in front of the Doctor." And he got an extra 300 quid for that, I think. So I was like, "Oh, why didn't I say I'd do that? I'd have jumped off the second run of a step ladder for anything. 50 quid I would have done it for." I missed out on that one. But it was fun. It was good fun.
Yeah. So was that the most memorable and possibly difficult Doctor Who costume?
Well, some of them were just lots of makeup, and which took ages in the shower to get off. Very sticky stuff. No, some of it was a lot of makeup. I suppose the hardest was when you're in a Dalek and you're trying to push it over cobblestones and you're trying to keep the plunger up and the eyepiece up, and every time you walk along, they move down. The director shouts, plungers up," and you feel like saying the same sort of thing, and it's sweaty, and of course you haven't got much room in a Dalek because if you're small like me, you're okay, but you still scrape your knees on the front, and so I mean, there's different levels of comfort and discomfort, things like that.
But I suppose
But all good fun.
if you're going to do Doctor Who, you want to be a Dalek, really. So that must have been quite satisfying, was it?
Oh, incredibly satisfying. Yeah, what to be a Dalek? Yes, and just imagine that you're scaring the life out of little kids somewhere. They're all hiding behind the sofa somewhere in some home across the country. You know, you're doing your bit to scare everyone. Great fun. It's a privilege, really. Privilege. A great privilege.
Because this would have been with Sylvester McCoy, wasn't it? With Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah. That was very occasional because we filmed that near Waterloo Station or London Bridge Station, I think it was, in some viaducts. And they had set one of the viaducts up for a big explosion, and the special effects people were a little bit exuberant, went a little bit overboard, because the idea was the grey Daleks came along, stopped, they replaced them with some rougher, cheaper Daleks, and then they blew them up. But and then they painted on the floors what was supposed to be like chalk mark or scorch marks. They sprayed paint on the floor to look like scorch marks. So when the explosion happened, they had scorch marks, which when they set it off, they gave everyone some warning because it echoed through this tunnel as well, this viaduct. They counted down, and then the biggest explosion you've ever heard in the centre of London went off, because amplified by the viaduct. And all of a sudden, after that, everything went very quiet, and then dogs started barking, babies started crying, alarms started going off. And where the Daleks had been placed, there was one huge scorch mark, much bigger than they were. Nothing left of the other dummy Daleks they put there. Nothing left of them at all. And of course, then all the police and a couple of fire engines turned up because the alarms on the station had gone off as well, on the train station. And they were complaining, you can't be doing this, but we're the BBC, we can do. No, you can't. Then some old chap came over from a block of flats. He came over, he said, what's going on? What's going on? And he said, it's okay with the BBC. We just had a little explosion. It's a little explosion. It killed my dog. His dog had died of a heart attack because he was sitting nicely on his balcony. All of a sudden, he'd been blown up in the air with the fright of it all. And it was sad, but funny at the same time.
Yeah, you shouldn't laugh, but what else is there considered like that?
Doggy.
Yeah. And did you see all of this from inside a Dalek?
No, fortunately we were outside the Dalek when this happened, because they didn't recommend we sit in them, because if you get blown over, you might get trapped in them, So they'd had some foresight. Not a lot, but they had some. But it was a huge explosion. I mean, it was silly because it's in the middle of IRA attacks and everything. So everything was on a higher level. Security was on a much higher level. And I had several occasions featuring explosions where the BBC had done some rather silly things. Even on Remembrance Sunday in the middle of London, they set off a vacuum explosion, which can still be as loud as anything else, but they set off a vacuum explosion behind the Army and Navy stores. And then the police turned up, and of course the alarms went off. The police turned up, said, what are you doing? Oh, we're the BBC. Do you really not realise we've got half the royal family just around the corner in Parliament Square? We've got all the royal family and all the Army and Navy and the ministry, the government. And it's Remembrance Sunday, Oh, is it? Yes, it is. Oh dear. Sorry.
But if you're going to be a supporting artist, you worked a lot for the BBC, but it must be great to do a Bond film of all things, surely. Yeah.
I mean, Octopussy was great. I mean, all whenever I worked at Pinewood, I felt really, really lucky, because it was just a place to be for memories, film history and film memories. It was amazing to walk down the corridor where the carry-on films or carry-on studios were, to see all the posters and to be in that kind of atmosphere, and just to wander around the Bond hangar. Although we weren't using the Bond hangar at that time because it was Octopussy, and they had a big circus tent up for that scene there, and I was a Russian soldier in that. So yeah, no, it was always a privilege to work at Pinewood, simply because of the amount of memories there and the amount of people that you get to meet. Some good people, yeah. I rushed there one day. I rushed there one day from Luton Airport. So I was at Luton Airport with Peter Cook, filming a sketch for Saturday Night Live, I think it was. We were filming this huge, complicated sketch, just me and Peter Cook in white suits. And we were supposed to be from an orchestra. The idea was that our instruments were coming off the conveyor belt, but my instrument had to be a double piano, a grand piano, all painted white. Everything was white. We were white, the instruments were white. And so we had to put the grand piano into a trolley, which was precarious. And it took ages to film, but it was good fun. But then I had to rush because I knew I had to be at Pinewood for a night shoot for Little Shop of Horrors. And I knew I had to rush to get down there. And Pinewood was done out like a American high street with all the cars and trucks and the buildings. It was fantastic. And I got there just in time to emerge from a subway with a bunch of flowers, and then to look up a huge stick that someone was holding up in the air, huge stick with a rag on the end. Oh, that's the plant. And then be eaten by a huge stick. And that was it. I rushed all the way there just to be eaten by a plant. But that's what happens.
If you're going to do an iconic film like that, you want to be eaten by the lead character, really, don't you?
You want to be eaten by the main character. Yeah, if you're going to be eaten by anybody, you don't want to be eaten by another supporting actor. Where's the fun in that? No fun in that at all. No fun in that at all.
So what would you say was perhaps your most bizarre part or film that you worked on then?
Well, one of the was a nondescript little series where I was asked to go to Burnham Beeches, which is near Pinewood, for a night shoot. I was asked to take along a dog, preferably a Jack Russell, which my brother had. He had a very nice, placid Jack Russell, into the middle of Burnham Beeches. And the idea was it was all about badger baiting. And they dug a badger hole, a badger pit, and they've got the local warden from the park, from Burnham Beeches. He'd captured a badger, bloody big badger and all, and he put it in the pit. And the idea was that we were going to taunt it, because we had cars all around the pit with headlights, which is apparently how they do this badger baiting. And the dogs were barking. And then they said, "Oh, can 3 of you get in the pit with the badger?" So I said, "Well, is it going to be okay?" And they said, "Yeah, it'd be fine. Just don't move around or run around or do much." 3 of us got in the pit, and I was so small that they could get out in one leap if they needed to. But then this badger was he wasn't so much agitated, but curious. He liked sniffing crutches. And they had very powerful things. They could lift you up with just their nose. And this badger was getting very curious. And of course, then the warder, the park warder, said, "I think he's getting a bit angry now, so it's better if you get out." So of course, these 2 lads jumped straight out, which they could do in one leap. I couldn't. I needed a ladder, And so they said, "Oh, we can't find the ladder." So I said, "Well, I'd appreciate if you could get me out here fairly quickly, because this badger's getting overexcited now. He's found something in my crutch he likes, and I'd rather like to keep, if I can."
Science fiction was something you did a lot of, particularly at the BBC. And you mentioned when we were chatting before about working on tripods. That, I think, is a series that is well loved, but a little bit more forgotten. What did you do on that series?
Tripods was done in... the BBC hadn't long been in Elstree Studios, and they'd been doing a lot of Grange Hill there, and they were also building the EastEnders lot down on one end of the big car park at the back. So they used a large car park for tripods, but we never saw a tripod. we had to imagine the tripods were there, walking along, which was a bit difficult because everybody had a different idea of where the tripod was. No, you're all looking in the wrong place. No, it's not over there. It's more over there. Somebody go over there and be a tripod. Okay. So it was more a question of that really with the tripods. I never did see a tripod, but I saw it when the program went out. I thought, oh, that's what I'm looking at. Oh, that's what a tripod is. We were never given much information, really, to begin with. A lot of things, we weren't given much information. They let you find out for yourself.
But when you saw the finished product, did it live up to expectations?
Yeah, I was quite impressed because it was quite innovative for its time. You know, it was good for its time. I thought they'd done pretty well. We're never going to replace Doctor Who, but it was good.
Yeah, so a bit of a different science fiction series from the BBC at the time.
Yeah.
But one final question, if I may, because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
That's okay.
If there's one part or series that you were particularly proud of that you think viewers should go and watch and spot you in, is there one?
Probably Heidi High, I should think. Yeah, because I was on that for the full 8 years, from start to finish. Yeah, in between summer seasons, because I was doing summer seasons as well. But that fitted in very nicely, Heidi High, because it was a late season starter where everything was getting cold and we had to pretend to be very warm around the Olympic-sized swimming pool in the Hawaiian ballroom. Yeah, no, it was great because it was a big family, and contributions were very welcome at the time. It was good fun. Heidi High was probably the best, and I suppose the two Ronnies too, because I was there when he decided to retire. Christmas special. We were doing a Christmas special. So I was always pleased I worked on that because I like two Ronnies. Nice people to work with. Yeah, that was good. Spike Milligan. Could go on, couldn't I?
Well, you mentioned so many.
Good. Blackadder was good. Yeah.
I mean, so many well-known names, faces, and series. I think it certainly was a golden time of television and film. That you
It certainly was, yeah. Because most people you say, "Oh, we worked on this," and they say, "Oh, I don't remember that," because they're too young. You know, you have to be old to remember these programs. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were all good programs. They were all good fun. Good fun. It's nice to turn up there and be turned into something or other. Yeah, because I spent a lot of time working on Top of the Pops as well, as a camera usher, a camera manager. So that was fun. Yeah, diverse. You see, that's me. Very diverse.
Well, on the note of clearly a very much enjoyed and diverse career, thank you very much for your time, David.
You're welcome, Alex. You're more than welcome.